you've got this movie and it could become anything.
A story like mine has never been told.
It should have a beginning and a middle and no end.
All right, that's it. If somebody's out there, just come on out!
That tie-up between music and film spills over into the trailer.
The voiceover is sort of the hamburger helper.
When everything you know is wrong.
That's wrong.
My job is to interpret the script.
You may only see it once.
This is something that's being argued to you.
Come get a taste.
Movie trailers are designed to give you an idea of the film in question in a very short space of time. Typically, they begin with the introduction of a main character, who will very shortly have something so utterly fantastic happen to him.
Arthur! What the hell are those things?
That someone just had to make a movie about it.
That's a concept trailer, like this is what movie trailers are like, and it talks about the montage sequence, and it talks about, it's really kind of funny that way. It's a total aside to the audience.
Often this section is preceded by the words, "in a world." But sometimes not.
I like when things like that happen because it sort of breaks the mold, and I think it got attention because it was different.
The goal is to create a piece of advertising that's original and exciting.
Oh, far out!
There's an old trailer that someone did, actually someone who works here now, for Requiem for a Dream, that I loved. It was like an amazing trailer. It was beautiful. I think we hired the person based on the trailer because we were like, oh, who did this trailer? I don't know that it really sold the movie. It was an independent film. But for me, I think because I was an editor, I still really react to the editing of something.
I'm going to be on television.
The one that I will always, think fondly of, is the work that we did for David Cronenberg's Crash.
Were you badly hurt? I think we saw each other at the hospital.
You haven't told me where we're going.
I haven't?
The trailer and the marketing materials for Crash were amazing because the music was hot, the voice was hot, and it made a promise that you can deliver on.
The car crash is a liberation of sexual energy.
And that's what trailers should be about as well, as should all great advertising. So much of the marketing that's out there today, specifically the trailers, says nothing.
Is there something here that interests you?
This interests me.
I look at trailers just like anybody else on one level. It's like, do I want to go see the film or not? I know there have been examples where I've gone to the movie because the trailer looked so cool. The first Lara Croft movie. The trailer for that was quite interesting, really, because more than the film itself, I think it tried to kind of ape the look of a video game. So there were lots of jump cuts in it. And you'd see her kind of around the screen. I thought, wow, if the movie's going to do that, great. But I think it was just a very creative trailer. The movie was less interesting.
Time to save the universe?
Absolutely.
There's something I'm proud of. When I was at Paramount, we were presented with this little film that we shot in New Jersey for $400,000. It was nothing but throats being cut and eyes being stabbed and heads being chopped and, the most violent thing I've ever seen in my life. It was the original.
Friday, the 13th.
Frank Mancuso, who was the head of the company, said, oh, go sell that on television.
You're all doomed.
And I finally come up with the idea. I said, let's show the victims just before. Oh, hi there. Oh. But you never see anything happen. You might see a knife move, and then after each one, we do a number. The original TV spot was, oh, hi there. And I go, 1.
1.
And somebody else, 2.
2.
3.
3.
4.
4.
All the way up got to 12. And I said, Friday, the 13th. You may only see it once. But that will be enough. Picture opened. This is 1979, I think. It opened to, it had a $6 million weekend.
If I was asked for the best of the most fun, I would say Trailer Park Boys.
I'm not going back to jail till it's absolutely necessary.
I'm not going back to jail
till it's absolutely necessary.
It's a huge Canadian piece and we don't often get to work on films that have an iconic stature or status in Canada, and the Trailer Park Boys seem to have carved themselves out that all on their own.
Real friends, Julian. That's what this is about. That was tremendous. You're a fantastic actor. Terrible.
They actually brought the actors in and set up a stage and a crew, and we actually shot items for the trailer.
It'll be smooth sailing, boys.
This guy's not too bad. He's handsome, at least.
Handsome? You think Julian's handsome?
No, I don't think Julian's handsome.
You said he was handsome. He's auditioning for Julian.
The reality was the movie wasn't ready yet, so you could either forego the opportunity or shoot something original. So we wrote an original script, we flew the Trailer Park Boys into Toronto, rented out some space, and shot an original concept.
Boys! You're a cop, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a cop.
Yeah, I could tell. Next.
Having the opportunity to shoot the Trailer Park Boys in high definition and to bring them to you on a 35mm widescreen was very special and fun for us, and we had a great time working with them on it.
Next.
Tenemos que tener todo el barbecue fuera del lago ahora.
What kind of English was that?
He's talking Spanish, Ricky.
Well, while you're here, let's clear something up. Is it jalapeno or jalapeno?
It's jalapeno.
No, it's jalapeno. Next.
Get up! Get down and get ready! Welcome, Mr. Guy Terrifico!
Guy Terrifico was nice because it had already played in a couple of film festivals, so I had a few things like audience reactions. I knew what the critics thought of it, so I could insert a little bit of critical material into it, and I'd had a chance to see how the movie was playing and a good sense of where the film was going to play in terms of its audience. It's really nice when you've had that opportunity, and then you can really tailor your materials to speak right to the audience you think is going to enjoy the movie the most.
Great music, just a turd of a person. I enjoyed sitting in with him. I thought he sounded cool.
We were working to bring a likability, a sensibility, a familiarity to the audience of somebody who doesn't exist.
If in fact Guy is dead, that death has to be considered one of the greatest tragedies in popular music.
We have a lot of experience with these mockumentaries. I mean, on one hand, you're not fooling the audience. They understand that it isn't truly real, but you're putting up this facade and you hope that people will play along with it as you go.
I've never been able to sing when I was dead on my feet, let alone really dead. You know, if he pulls this off, he'd be bigger than Elvis.
This is a guy they went out and shot falling off of stages and falling off of buses and being animated and being alive.
I love Guy Terrifico. He was an outlaw. He was just a natural-born world shaker.
Half the forest is gone.
I worked on both Shrek movies, for instance, and a lot of the DreamWorks movies, Madagascar, Shark Tale, and I'm currently working on one for them right now called Over the Hedge.
Run!
The voice of Bruce Willis and Gary Shandling and Steve Carell, and they play a bunch of animals that all of a sudden are faced with their habitat being destroyed by suburbia.
What do we do for food?
That's easy. I know where the food is. Right over that hedge.
The fun thing about working on computer-generated animation is that they let us do crazy stuff.
That is an SUV.
It's so big.
How many humans fit in there? Usually, one.
Especially a company like DreamWorks, they're so innovative, not only in their movies, but also in their advertising. They basically wind us up and let us go.
I am a crazy rabbit squirrel.
Behind you!
It may just be my imagination. Whatever it is that's watching, it's not human. What does the scanner see?
That's been a long process, and it's really been almost like working on an animated film, where we were working originally with the footage that was shot on DVD, which really looked very different from the final animation.
Does it see into me clearly or darkly?
We actually started working on that movie about 1.5 years ago and cut the first teaser from it and went through a whole process of locking the teaser, and then they built the first part of their animation that they started working on based on our teaser.
What if they come in through the bathroom window like that infamous Beatles song?
They created animation just for the teaser.
I could be murdered.
You know, looking back, I think that all that animation is probably gone at this point, that they've redone it all.
That tie-up between music and film spills over into the trailer.
You're hit with those words and your mind settles into, oh, this is going to be happening now.
In a land before time.
It's about a comedian, Jack.
Trailers also normally employ
a deep voice that sounds like a 7-foot-tall man who has been smoking cigarettes since childhood.
It's sort of a verbal Rorschach. You know, you're hit with those words and your mind settles into, oh, this is going to be happening now.
This is the voiceover for comedian movie trailer. Take one.
In a world where laughter was king.
No in a world, Jack.
What do you mean, no in a world?
It's not that kind of movie.
Oh? Okay.
My job is to interpret the script.
In a land that...
No in a land either.
In a time...
No, I don't think so.
In a land before time.
It's about a comedian, Jack.
One man.
No.
You can't be the one man unless you can break a car window with your fist and not hurt yourself. If you can do that and there's no marks, you're that one guy.
When everything you know is wrong.
That's wrong.
In an outpost.
No.
On the edge of space.
There's no space.
I will know what the movie is about, certainly, in most cases. If I don't know, the copy will tell me.
A girl.
No.
2 girls.
No.
Now.
No.
It's really not necessary for me to see the movie because it's my job to sell the interpretation of the movie that the advertising department wants the audience to see.
The mother of all comedies.
There's a new sheriff in town.
Is back in the house.
Sometimes it goes in a completely different direction than one would think it would go.
A renegade cop.
I hate you.
A robot renegade cop.
I've read so many copies and written so much copy and seen so much that I can pretty much look at this and say, well, this is the way I would interpret it off the top of my head. And usually I've given the right to read it that way. If they want it read differently, they'll ask me.
You're fired.
You're fired.
No, you're actually fired.
I'm fired.
Get out of the booth, Jack.
No, I like it in here.
If you look at a lot of trailers, you'll notice that a lot of them don't have a lot of copy or a lot of narration. Certainly dramatic ones. We love to avoid it.
So you are ready for this voyage, Miss Darrow?
Sure.
Nervous?
Nervous? No. Should I be?
Let the film do the talking for itself. Let the dialogue find a piece of dialogue that's really going to tell you the story, so you don't have to have the big-throated voice that, telling you what you're supposed to think or understand.
You saw something. What took her, Carl?
And narrative worlds are one of the rhetorical appeals that I argue is what draw people to trailers.
A story like mine has never been told.
They're promoting the idea of this particular film's story, but the element of the story that they're really interested in drawing you into is its narrative world.
I certainly wasn't born to the life of a geisha.
You're not just watching a movie. This is something that's being argued to you.
I want a life that is mine.
The best trailers have no narration in them because it means that you're able to just organically with the film tell the story and let it present itself.
Every civilization finds it necessary to negotiate compromises with its own values.
It's not always that easy to do, and really this all comes down to time.
Will you undertake a mission? You will have to leave the country and your family. I can't live with refusing this.
When we work on television commercials, which are much shorter, and they need to be much more focused, it's a lot harder to necessarily find dialogue that's going to tell the story.
There was a time when people believed everything they heard on TV. This was an age when only men were allowed to read the news.
When you have 30 seconds as opposed to 2.5 minutes, you don't have the luxury of sort of letting a scene play out for you.
From Walt Disney Pictures and producer Jerry Bruckheimer.
Who ever heard of Texas Western?
Comes the incredible story of the team that changed the game forever.
The voiceover is sort of the hamburger helper, if you will, and it really allows you to cut to the chase, and it does a lot of heavy lifting in terms of the ideas and the concepts that you want to get across for a film.
In a year that has been so improbable, the
Chicken Little, rated G.
Generally, trailers also feature heartless, evil villains, hideous creatures, dolphins, physical violence, and of course, the promise of true love.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
And lastly, there is a final montage, often set to rock music.
Let's do it! Come on!
That is designed simply to blow away whatever synapses you have left in your brain.
Music can make or break a trailer, frankly.
Generally, the field of music has been dominated by people who can hear.
If there's music that we can use inside of the body of a film, we use it. Often we end up going back and purchasing synchronization licenses, which will allow us to replicate their music based on us providing sync and publishing rights. Music licensing can be very, very costly. We can get 99% of the way, and we know we need that one piece of music, and that's going to make the trailer. But that one piece of music costs $50,000. What do I do?
Our editor and the head of our music department were really close friends. They just loved the score for Requiem. And they kind of just got this idea that if you took it and you made it bigger, that it would be an amazing piece of music. I never thought about using it again, because for me it was so like, oh my God, this is Lord of the Rings, that it's special.
It's the ring. Frodo! It's taking hold of you.
We went out and we got a composer to kind of orchestrate it, and got an orchestra together, got in touch with those people, asked them if they would be interested in doing it, and now, we co-own this music with them.
There is nothing for you here, only death.
There is still hope.
If the trailer is for a film with a particular actor, they may use a soundtrack for another film that actor was in to kind of evoke the mood of another film, to keep that person's star persona foremost in your mind. The example comes to mind is Sharon Stone. There's a trailer for the movie Sliver, which wasn't a very successful film, but it uses the soundtrack for Basic Instinct.
Music is a beacon to the demographic that you want to attract to a film. So there's no question that there's often a lot of trailers that are produced with music that aren't even found in the film. And I don't have any issue with that. Whatever it takes to sell, you want to sell.
Think Film presents a Barry Average film.
We produced a trailer for The Last Mogul, film about Lew Wasserman, and had, The Who in it.
But like all kings, his reign would end.
He had outgrown his myth. Times had changed.
That was the beginning of the end. In the Rolling Stones, none of that music can be found in our film.
I believe the only orgasm Lew Wasserman ever had was at the opening of Jaws.
Those films have brought over $1 billion in revenue.
But it was the best pace for that edit. And ultimately, that talked to a certain generation, it talked to a certain hip and cool factor, which we wanted to attract to the film. And when you're dealing with a documentary, it's tough.
If I connect to the music, I'm going to connect to the story, and it embellishes the film. Composers have an incredible job when they're composing the film score to the music, and it's the same, I believe, in the trailer as well. Because if that music doesn't work in that trailer, you're not going to have a powerful message. You entice the audience to see the film.
Age of Consent. It's like a New Order song. It's playing around with different periods and times, and it's really honing in on what the guts of that movie is about. What sold me was that that's the spirit of the movie.
I'm not the kind that needs to tell you just what you want me
To that Maria Antoinette trailer, I found that really interesting too, because that's a period film, but they use a modern day rock song, to that film, and obviously I believe the intentions were to modernize the film and get a younger audience in there. I'm not sure that's going to work, but it's a famous director, a gorgeous actress, so they have a core audience for sure.
As a general trend in the business, filmmakers are becoming more involved than they used to be.
The one for me right now, with this camera, where would you be?
Probably right here.
Right here.
The anticipation of an event when it comes to a film is over.
What's wrong with you people?
Oh, my.
As a general trend in the business, filmmakers are becoming more involved than they used to be. Steven Spielberg is very hands-on on the advertising, and we present everything directly to him, and he makes his changes.
You think you can outrun your fears, your doubts?
Action!
It's not just the directors. It depends on who's sort of the driving force behind the film. And sometimes it'll be the star. On Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise has been incredibly involved and comes and sits in the editing room.
I hope that an audience will be thrilled, that an audience will feel that emotional investment with the story, and so that when you have that action, it's going to just send them.
The one for me right now, with this camera, where would you be?
Probably right here.
Right here.
That film was directed by Mike Dess. He has a lot of experience doing the mockumentary. Before he was a director, he was an editor. So he had a really great sense of the rhythm that a trailer has to have, because it's not a mini movie, you know, and it's really important that you understand that as you go in cutting these things, that you're really doing a sales job. Mike was one of those great filmmakers to work with, where he understood sales as well as he understood filmmaking, and he was able to help us craft a trailer that I think was really effective.
I know statistically most people watch their trailers online now. I think pretty soon you're going to start watching them on your cell phones. I think that's the future of it, and that'll impact the way we cut them. Because if we know that you're not going to have that big experience, then we'll start cutting them with stuff that looks better that way.
And what about me, Charlie? Am I going to hell?
No, June, you're beautiful.
The trailers become a different kind of creature, that they just be sort of units of promotion that migrate from form to form.
You're going to do very well for yourself, unless you blow it.
And how am I going to blow it?
By making a pass at me.
From your iPod to your cell phone to your computer or whatever, they may lose their kind of integrity.
No one's ever asked for their money back.
It could be that the trailer is, probably is a historically specific form for a certain era of movie history, and we may be looking at, something else coming down the road.
I don't think they're going to be on film forever. I think that's going to be disappearing in the next decade for sure. It'll be gone, and that's going to change a lot of things about it, because instead of them having to finish the trailer, duplicate film, and distribute that film, they'll just internet uplink it or something and download it to the theaters. And what that'll mean is if we show a trailer and something doesn't work, well, we'll just change it and then re-uplink it for the next weekend. And there may not be just one trailer. There'll probably be several trailers. It'll probably evolve as the campaign evolves.